This is Bergstrom's State Line Quiz Bowl. Now from the Collins Aerospace Studio at the Nordloff Center in downtown Rockford, here's your host, Eric Wilson.
We are here for another exciting edition of Bergstrom State Line Quiz Bowl. It's our consolation game, fighting for third place. Last week you saw the Jets beat the Sharks, and you may recognize some familiar faces from that game. It's our all-star game. The Jets won 430 to 180. Quite a few points put up in that game. That all-star game is always fun for us. Next week is our championship game. That's when Winnebago takes on Auburn. Today, as I mentioned, this is for third place. Let's say hello to the Belvidere North Blue Thunder. I want to say I prematurely said goodbye to you in your last game because, of course, I forgot about the consolation. James, we saw you play in the All-Star match as well. Now you're all back for the consolation. James is the captain. Introduce us to your starting lineup.
All right, I'm James Foster, captain of the Belvidere North Quiz Bowl team, coached by the wonderful Mrs. Stites. And this is Tyler, Hannah, and Paula.
Welcome, Belvidere North Blue Thunder, facing off against the Morrison Mustangs. How about a round of applause for them? After a tough match against Winnebago, they are here. Zayden's their captain. Always a strong showing in our tournament. And also we saw Zayden and Rowan play in our All-Star game. Hope you had fun in that. Hope you have equally as much fun as you play this game. Introduce us to your starting lineup, Zayden.
On my right is Mark, on my far left is Nara, and on my near left is Rowan.
All right, welcome, Morrison Mustangs. Good luck to both of our teams. Let's get on with our buzzing round, shall we? So hands on your buzzers. Two most important rules. Wait for me to call your name before you answer, and say that answer loudly and clearly. We'll get moving this week with this first question. Good luck, teams. What book in which a quiet old lady whispers hush was written by Margaret Wise Brown about the items that a rabbit addresses before going to sleep? Nara.
Goodnight Moon.
You got it. Light, red balloon, bears, chairs, kittens, mittens, all those things on the list. First points of the game go to Morrison. In 2022, Disney said Splash Mountain will become Tiana's Bayou Adventure based on what, James?
Princess and the Frog.
Yes, first Disney animated film to feature a black princess. What six-letter noun partly names a collective that included Earl Sweatshirt and Frank Ocean, and also names the rapper of Wait For You and Mask Off? Tyler.
Future.
You got it. That collective was the Odd Future Collective. For centuries, Russian princes paid tribute to what Mongol state, named in part for, James?
The Golden Horde.
Yes, named in part for a color that ruled Central Asia through the early 1500s. What vehicles, the largest of which is the Wonder of the Seas, operated by Royal Caribbean, are also, James?
Cruise ship.
Yeah, operated by Carnival and are used for vacations. Elizabeth McDonough holds what office that oversees compliance with the rules of the U.S. Senate, including which bills may avoid the filibuster? Some people consider her one of the most powerful lawyers in Washington. She's the parliamentarian. What English industry was the first to adopt the Newcomen engine, went on strike, James?
The railroad.
Incorrect. I'll finish for Morrison. Went on strike in 1984 and mined the primary fuel of the Industrial Revolution. Rowan.
Coal workers?
We'll take coal, yes. Coal mining, coal workers, yes. What Greek soprano known as La Divina had a 2021 statue erected in Athens that has been derided as resembling an Oscar statuette? That singer's Maria Callas. What city whose yellow crane tower lies on Snake Hill is the capital of the Hubei province and in late 2019 saw the first known cases of COVID? Paulo.
Wuhan.
That's right, first known cases of COVID-19. What essay by Virginia Woolf imagines a hypothetical sister of William Shakespeare and claims that the title location is necessary to write fiction? James.
To the Lighthouse.
Incorrect. Morrison? Zayden.
To the Madhouse.
Incorrect. You need this and money, according to Virginia Woolf. A room of one's own. That was the name of that essay. The original Charing Cross honored Eleanor of Castile, the first wife of which English king who died in 1307 and was nicknamed Hammer of the Scots? James.
Edward.
Can you be more specific?
First.
That's correct, also known as Edward Longshanks. What general who formed the Hunters of the Alps led red-shirted volunteers in the James?
Garibaldi.
Yes, in the 1860 expedition of the Thousand, which led to Italian unification. What state's Lake Clark National Park and Preserve is home to the volcanoes Mount Iliamna and Mount Redoubt? Rowan.
Alaska.
You got it. Also home to the highest peak in the U.S., Denali. In October 2022, prosecutors dropped all charges against what man whose conviction for the murder of Hae Min Lee was discussed on the podcast Serial? Hannah.
Ayed.
Incorrect. It was Syed. Adnan Syed, and that's the last question of the round, so that's how we end it. Belvidere North is off to a strong start, 70 points. Morrison not too far behind with 30, and we've still got a lot of game to play. That includes our volleyball round, and it's right after this break. We'll see you then. Third place is on the line this weekend in Bergstrom State Line Quiz Bowl. Belvidere North is off to a strong start with 70 points. Morrison has 30, not too far behind, and it's still early in our game. There's a lot to play. Before we get to our next round, which is volleyball, I want to send out a special thank you. She's not only our judge, but she's an award-winning teacher. Addie Wilson is one of 6 Golden Apple winners this year, so we appreciate you spending some time with us. And it's no surprise if you've ever spent time in her 2nd grade classroom at Rockford's Marshall Elementary. No surprise she won a Golden Apple. Thanks for being here with us today, Addie. All right, contestants, volleyball is a conferring round. Work as a team, but the answer has to come from the captains. Zayden, you and the Mustangs get our first question this week. Are you ready?
Yes.
Here we go. What musical work that uses statit puella and other medieval Latin and German poems was written by Karl Orff and opens and closes with O Fortuna? And we've had some tough musical questions recently. Carmina Burana. James, here's your first question of the round. What type of reaction with chain growth and step growth mechanisms forms a common plastic from ethylene and forms macromolecules from monomers?
Cohesion.
Your answer, you got the answer right before the buzzer, but it was not the correct one. Polymerizations. Back to Morrison. What NBC sitcom that aired from 1994 to 2004 used the Rembrandt's I'll Be There For You as its theme song?
Friends.
You got it. All right. Ross, Rachel, Joey, Phoebe, Chandler, Monica. First points of the round go to Morrison. Back over to Belvidere North. What company founded the modern-day city of Jakarta after being granted a monopoly to trade in the Moluccas in Southeast Asia by the Netherlands?
The Dutch East India.
You got it. Those are your points. Back over to Morrison. What 3-letter abbreviation can refer to Joe Biden's August 2022 climate change bill or a militant group linked to the Sinn Féin party? Sinn Féin may have been a clue that we're talking about Ireland. It's also the abbreviation of where a lot of people put their retirement money, IRA. Back to Belvidere North. What city, which contains a museum dedicated to the work of René Magritte, is home to the headquarters of NATO and is the capital of Belgium?
Brussels.
You got it. That last clue helped too, I'm sure.
I knew that.
Back to Morrison.
I just didn't know what to say.
Among elements with stable isotopes, the most electropositive element is what alkali metal, whose isotope 133 is used in atomic clocks? That is cesium. Back to Belvidere North. What sociologist argued that rationality forms an iron cage and Calvinism causes a zeal for work in the Protestant ethic and the spirit of capitalism?
I think it's Weber. Weber?
Yes, Weber, we'll take that. Considered one of sociology's founding fathers. In 2020, what company sent astronauts Doug Hurley and Bob Behnken to space in the first post-space shuttle manned mission launched from the U.S.?
SpaceX.
Yeah, you got it. This summer, the company will actually launch its 7th mission to the ISS. Back to Belvidere North. What structure whose namesake zone was established by the Hay-Bunau-Varilla Treaty was relinquished by the U.S. in 1999?
The Panama Canal.
Yes, that's the structure we needed. Connects the Atlantic to Pacific Oceans, and that's the last question of the round. So Belvidere North's up to 110. You cracked the triple digits. Morrison not too far behind with 50 points. Our Nika IBEW lightning round will change those scores very quickly. It took until our last game, or 2 games ago really, to run a category. We'll see if one of our teams has that in them this week. But first, you get to play at home with the Bergstrom bonus question.
Prior to moving into the Coney Island hot dog, 28201 East Bonanza Street is the home address of Eric Cartman on which long-running Comedy Central show?
Our consolation game has Belvidere North in the lead right now with 110. Morrison has 50, but first, before we change the scores, how about pizza and pasta? Our Lino's Bergstrom bonus question will get you that pizza or pasta if you answer it correctly. If you're watching at home, you already saw the question. See if you know the answer. Contestants, let's see if you know the answer. Hands on your buzzers. Prior to moving into the Coney Island hot dog, 28201 East Bonanza Street is the home address of Eric Cartman on which long-running Zayden?
South Park.
Nice work, you guys. Way to go. Sorry for that terrible Eric Cartman impression, but way to go. You're going to, it may not be Casa Bonita, but you're going to Lino's. Way to go. We'll take a quick break and come back with our Nika IBEW lightning round. Zayden and the rest of the team are talking about how they're going to enjoy their sweet pizza over at Lino's after winning the Bergstrom bonus question. Our Nika IBEW lightning round doesn't offer up any pizza. It's just points, but a lot of them. 100 points if you run the category, and it's only happened once so far this season. We'll see if you can accomplish that. The coin flip means Belvidere North gets first pick. So, James, your 3 categories this week are wars, sports nicknames, or universities.
I'll let you choose. What do you think? I'll let you choose. I think it's your last one. Wars.
Okay. That's as simple as we can get. In which wars did these battles occur? So I'll name the battle, you name the war. 60 seconds to go through the category, and Zayden, you and the team will have 30 seconds to pick up what they don't get to. Advice for both teams, you can pass. We've had some pretty good success with categories like this in the past. We'll see what happens. James, are you ready for your first one?
Yep.
In which wars did these battles occur? Poitiers and Crécy.
Pass.
Cannae and Lake Trasimene.
Pass.
Towton and Bosworth.
War of the Roses.
Correct. Minden and the Plains of Abraham.
French and Indian War.
Correct. Austerlitz and Trafalgar.
Napoleonic Wars.
Correct. Singapore and El Alamein.
World War II.
Correct. Pylos and Agiospotamai.
Peloponnesian War.
Correct. Mukden and Tsushima.
Russo-Japanese War.
Correct. Arsuf and the Siege of Acre.
World War I.
Incorrect. Fredericksburg and Gettysburg.
Civil War.
Correct. Poitiers and Crécy.
100 Years War.
That's correct. Cannae and Lake Trasimene. And no time to answer for that. 8 of the 10, right? If I'm doing my visual math very quickly, that's nice. It's rare to get that many. You got 80 points added to your score. That means there's 20 left for you, Zayden, and the team. 30 seconds to get to them. And I will read them as quickly as I can. Take all 30 if you need it. Otherwise, we can move on. Are you ready? 30 seconds. In which wars did these battles occur? Cannae and Lake Trasimene.
Spanish-American War.
Incorrect. Arsuf and the Siege of Acre.
Mexican-American War.
Incorrect. Those last 2 were really the hardest. The Cannae and Lake Trasimene is the Second Punic War, and the Arsuf and the Siege of Acre are the Third Crusade, late 1100s for that. So 1 category down, there's 2 left to choose from, Zayden, and they are sports nicknames or universities.
We'll take universities.
Okay, we'll put sports to the side. In what state is the primary campus of these universities located? We could blaze through this really, really quickly. If you run this category, it'll put you within 40 points of Belvidere North. 60 seconds is on the clock. Zayden, are you ready for your first question? In what state is the primary campus of these universities located? Brigham Young University.
Utah.
Correct. Vanderbilt University.
Tennessee.
Correct. Marquette University.
Wisconsin.
Correct. Rice University.
Texas.
Correct. Franklin Pierce University, named after the only president from this state.
Virginia.
Incorrect. Oral Roberts University.
Oklahoma.
Correct. Creighton University.
Nebraska.
Correct. Gonzaga University.
Washington.
Correct. Tulane University.
Louisiana.
Correct. Lehigh University, which is in the city of Bethlehem.
Pennsylvania.
That's correct, and there's nothing to go back to. 9 out of 10, that's pretty solid too.
High five, Mark, you did something.
It sounded like the audience wanted to applaud. You go ahead and applaud. Both teams deserve some applause there. There's one left on the board for you, James, and the team. 30 seconds, take all of it if you need it. Otherwise, answer and we can move on. Are you ready? James, are you set?
Yep.
Okay. In what state is the primary campus of these universities located? Franklin Pierce University, named after the only president from this state.
Yeah, 30 seconds, best guess. I don't know, I'm getting no, it's too early. North Carolina.
Incorrect. It's a good strategy. You want to take all those 30 seconds and buy yourself some time. There's no fault in that. It seemed like that 30 seconds is eternal when you're thinking, right? No, it was New Hampshire. Franklin Pierce was from New Hampshire. Solid lightning round from both of our teams. Here's where the scores sit as we move into our final challenge. Belvidere North has 190, Morrison has 140. We'll find out who takes third place in this season's tournament right after this break. One more round to play. This is relatively close for our third place spot in this season's tournament. Belvidere North has 190, Morrison has 140. Before we move on, I want to give Mark credit for that last round, that lightning round. You got almost all of those questions correct. The universities category, nice work. All right, contestants, this is a buzz-in, so same rules as that first round, other than the points now, or each question is worth 20 points as opposed to 10 points. Hands on your buzzers. Good luck. Remember, wait for me to call your name before you answer, and say that answer loudly and clearly. Good luck, contestants. Here we go. What Roman Catholic doctrine, formalized by the 1215 Fourth Lateran Council, states that bread and wine are changed into, James?
Communion.
Incorrect. I will finish for Morrison. Changed into the body and blood of Christ. Rowan.
The Nicene Creed.
Incorrect.
I don't know.
Now, the bells you hear during communion signify this. It's called transubstantiation. What character who spies on a rebellion led by Enjolras before drowning in the Seine is a policeman who pursues Jean Valjean in Les Miserables? Played by Russell Crowe in the 2012 film, that's Javert. In what South American country did protesters, angered by Guillermo Lasso's government, block ports like Guayaquil in June 2022? James.
Venezuela.
Incorrect. Morrison? Go ahead, Zayden.
Brazil.
Incorrect. Ecuador. In 1951, George Gay produced what first immortal human cell line from a namesake African-American woman's cervical tumor without obtaining her consent? Those are known as HeLa cells after Henrietta Lacks. What prime minister declared, "Just watch me," during the October crisis in Quebec and is the father of current Canadian Prime Minister, James?
Pierre Trudeau.
That's correct. Justin is his son. First points of the round go to Belvidere North. What particles were the first known leptons, were discovered in cathode ray tubes by J.J. Thomson, have negative charge, and Zayden?
Electrons.
Yes, orbit an atom's nucleus. What non-red color names a 1950s scare in which up to 5,000 LGBT people? Nara.
Lavender.
That's correct. Forced out of jobs in the U.S. federal government. 2 in a row for Morrison. What What mineral, which names Taiwan's tallest mountain and an emperor in Taoist myth, is a green silicate? Nara.
Jade.
That's correct, used for jewelry in Mesoamerica and East Asia. The long poem Conquistador is by what American author who wrote that a poem should not... James.
Twain.
Incorrect. I'll finish for Morrison. A poem should not mean, but be in his Ars Poetica. Nara.
Frost.
Incorrect. MacLeish. Archibald MacLeish. What ruler had Thomas Cranmer and the Oxford martyrs burned at the stake while trying to reverse the Protestant reforms of her father, Rowan?
Mary.
That is correct. Her father, Henry VIII. The world's farthest major city from an open sea is usually cited as Urumqi, the capital of what northwestern Chinese region, home to many Uyghurs? James.
Tibet.
Morrison, you have a chance for these points. Zayden.
Tibet.
Incorrect. Xinjiang. And we are out of time by 10 points, basically half a question in this final round. Congratulations, Morrison. You take our third place spot. Nice work. Also, congratulations to Belvidere North. You know how hard it is to make it to this point in the game. I can see it in your faces. Clearly, we all would much rather win, but you should be very proud of yourselves. I already asked you this question in your previous game. 3 seniors, right? So that would be Hannah, James, and Tyler. All of you are graduating. Visit us anytime. Paulo, we will see you next season. Guaranteed, right?
Yeah.
And Morrison, congratulations. And normally, when you win, we don't have to say goodbye, but this is your last game of this season. How many of you are seniors? Oh, man. So, Nara, you're going to come back. Captain Nara, you will lead the team to victory with topics about the Scottish play, probably. Remember, don't say that name in the theater. We're so glad you joined us. We hope you join us next week for our championship in Season 9 when Winnebago takes on Auburn. We'll see you then.